Yep. I'm sorry. What did you say? I totally missed that. How often does this happen to you? You're in a conversation with someone, but they're not fully there. Maybe they're distracted by someone walking by. Oh, hey, how's it going? Or they're distracted most likely by a screen or something in their hand. This happens all the time in our conversations in day-to-day life, and it always leaves you sort of with this feeling. It's never a positive feeling when you come away from that conversation. You're like, you know what, I can't put my finger on it, but that person wasn't fully present. We weren't fully engaged in conversation. I wouldn't say that we connected really well. And now an even better question is, how often are you the one that's being distracted during your conversation? How often are you the one that's not fully present? So what's the one skill that I believe that can set you apart as a leader in this coming year? I believe it's your ability to listen. And not just to listen, but to actually be fully present. To actually be able to recognize all the verbal cues, to be able to elevate the other person above yourself, giving full and undivided attention to the person that you're connecting with. And of course, when I think about a topic like this, and I've been thinking about this idea for a couple of weeks, I look at my own life introspectively and I'm going, oh, wow, I'm really not a great listener. And I think that there's a lot of different things that have kind of brought me to this point in life, but I look at it and I go, wow, I've got all these different things in my life that are supposed to make me better. Different technologies, the idea of multitasking, the ability to do multiple things at the same time, move quickly, move faster. And I think what's happened is we've, allowed technology to sort of work with us. This thing was supposed to make us faster, more efficient technology, but now we've become addicted to those dopamine hits of the screens and everything that's on it and how quickly we can get that sort of dopamine hit filled by the technology that surrounds us. And this technology and all this stuff that was supposed to give us more freedom has actually enslaved us and actually robbed us of the thing that we need, the human connection, the conversations that we so desperately need. We need to be able to listen and to be heard. So if you truly want to be a better leader this year, and I believe that you do, I believe that listening is one of those things that can set you apart. And to recognize that and to be able to pursue that, you also have to recognize this myth that for a leader, multitasking is not a thing. I believe that you can multitask. You can do different things at once. You can be kind of moving different projects forward. But as a leader, when your primary goal is to be able to connect with your team, to actually be able to elevate, lift up, and move through the 5 levels of leadership, work towards goals, make an impact, it's all about connecting with your people. So as a leader, multitasking is a myth. Because as a leader, your goal is to be able to connect with people. Your goal is to be able to elevate and enable your people to be more effective. And the best way to do that is to be able to listen to them and to be able to have conversations where they believe that you're fully present. You can't do that when you're multitasking. Multitasking is a myth for a leader. Think about your team. Think about some of the trends around quiet quitting. There's so many people that are feeling disengaged. They're feeling anxious. They're feeling very disconnected. They have no sort of buy-in to what it is that you're working on your team. The best way to bring them in and actually allow them to be engaged and a part of the vision is to have them connect with you. And the best way to connect with them is to develop that skill set that you already have, but to grow in that skill set in your ability to listen. Now, for most people, and you'll probably recognize this in your own life, I recognize it in mine, what we do is we listen waiting for our opportunity to respond, waiting for our opportunity to jump into our own monologue. Okay, you're sharing your story with me, I'd like to share my story with you, or I'd like to respond to what it is that you just said, but we're formulating our response. We're not fully present. But when you think about the best listeners that you know in your life, people that you go, you know what, that person's a great listener. I guarantee you when you think about that person, they are fully present. They are there, they are listening to every word, they are recognizing all the cues that go on around it, they are empathetic, and they're able to have a discussion or even just be the listening ear that you need. And the best leaders are great listeners. I heard Simon Sinek say recently something that I thought was really interesting when it comes to listeners and being fully present. He said that when you're in a conversation and you're listening, the other person actually makes the decision whether or not you're fully present. So it's one thing for me to say, hey, I'm here, I'm listening to you, I'm fully present. But the person that actually decides whether or not that's true is the listener, because they're the only one that can have that feeling, can have that understanding that you're fully present. It doesn't really matter what you say or what your intention is. If they don't feel like you're fully present, then you weren't fully there. So it's really coming down to how do you make someone feel when you're in a conversation? Do they feel that you're present? Do they feel that you care? Do they feel that you're empathetic? Do they feel that you're not just trying to formulate your answer or your retort or your next monologue? So how do we become better listeners? I want to just propose 3 quick things today. The first one is practice minimizing distractions. And I say practice because this takes work. We've spent years all of a sudden filling our lives with all of these different ways to be distracted. And now I'm saying, you know what? We got to figure out how to put the phone down. We got to figure out how to focus in. Stop multitasking. Stop trying to do too many things at once as a leader. We need to be able to stop and focus and listen to the other person. And it does take practice. It takes time. And the second thing I'll recommend is to recognize that there's a difference between hearing and listening. We've got to be able to pause long enough to recognize not just the words that are being spoken, to hear what's being said, but also to recognize all the nonverbal clues, everything else that's going on in this conversation, the eye contact that you need to have to be able to connect with people, not just repeating things back, but actually hearing them and empathizing with what's going on in the conversation to create that connection. So recognize the difference between hearing and listening. And the third one is to stay humble. When you think about it, if you're in a conversation, if you're elevating your own needs over the person that you are listening to or in conversation with, then you're not truly present. You're not truly listening. That means I'm constantly thinking about, well, what am I going to say? Or how do I get my points in there? But if I'm elevating the needs of the other person above my own needs, then I'm just there to listen. I'm there to learn. And how much can we continue to learn from each other? You know, everyone's going through life and has life experiences that I know nothing about. There's always something that I can learn. So if I can elevate the needs of other people above my own needs and practice that, that's going to help me to be a better listener. So I believe that there's an absolutely incredible opportunity for you in this coming year. The opportunity for you to grow as a leader. The opportunity for you to grow in your ability to listen is going to set you apart as a leader over this next coming year. I'm so excited about everything that God is doing in your life and the impact that He wants to have in and through you. I hope you have an absolutely blessed rest of your day, and I look forward to connecting with you again next week.